Effective student-centered coaching requires a partnership with the school administrator, the local reading specialist, and the teacher. It starts with the master schedule in the summer. The instructional leader needs to ensure that adequate time has been given to the coach and teachers to be able to collaborate. I think it's important for collaborative planning, and that helps the coach and the teacher to be able to talk through the needs of students as well as the teacher. The ultimate goal of this partnership is to increase student learning outcomes.
Today I will be co-planning with a first grade teacher. Our work together will be focused on Tier 1 core instruction as well as Tier 2 instruction in the content area of phonics. We will be explicitly planning and teaching a phonics lesson based on Standard 7B from our 2021 ELA course of study. Learning targets will be created using student-friendly I can statements for the purpose of formatively assessing the students while planning our next steps. Formative assessment is crucial because it assesses the student's understanding during the lesson. Those students that did not master the target will be provided with immediate Tier 2 instruction within a small group setting. So Ms. Brown, what we're gonna do is we're gonna pick out our learning goals and targets, and then we will use our data and keep track of it throughout the lesson and decide what our next steps are for the students. We know that we're going to use a phonics standard, so let's look at the Alabama course of study, and we are focusing on Standard 7B, which is a phonics standard for decoding and encoding.
Decode and encode regularly spelled one-syllable words with closed syllables, open syllables, and vowel consonant E syllables, including words with blends in initial and final position.
So now that we have our target, let's break it down into student-friendly language for them.
How about I can decode and encode words with consonant J and short O?
We have our learning target set. They're in student-friendly language. So now let's decide what needs to be taught during the lesson.
I think we can use phoneme graphing mapping.
Maybe the nonsense word, the word sort.
Yes, we can use the word sort, the decodable.
Decodable would be good for applying what they've learned. So we need to start out our lesson with a quick warm-up just to review some of the skills already learned.
I'll give them words and have them delete the initial sound in the word.
And is that just all auditory?
No, they use their hands to delete the sound.
And then maybe review some words on the board of sounds that they've already had?
Yes, we'll review the words from the previous day.
So after they have reviewed, then we will move into what our standards are.
We're going to do an alphabet review.
Alphabet review.
And then introduce the J and the O.
And during that time, we need to make sure that we are including multi-sensory components so that way the kids are really able to grasp that new content. Let's try and brainstorm some ideas we could use for that.
We could have them write the letters in the air and then trace the letters with their finger on the rug as well.
Okay, and that pulls in those multi-sensory ideas. Perfect. Then for our guided practice, you said you wanted to use the phoneme mapping.
First, I'll do it to show them, and then we'll do some together, and then they'll do them by themselves.
So the I do, we do, you do. But we need to look in our decodable and pull out what words we need to use with the students.
Let's use jog because it has the J and the short O.
Okay.
And fog has the short O.
How would you go about teaching this in your classroom?
So I would tell the kids our word is jog. Let me hear you say jog, and they would repeat it, and then I would say let's touch the sounds. We're touching the phonemes, j, ah, g, and then we would move those phonemes, j, ah, g, and then they would write the grapheme. So they would write the word on the line. And then when we get done with this row, we'll go down and then we'll go back and read all of the words as well.
That is a very important step, going back and rereading the words, because that allows them to make that connection to the sounds. And we were discussing the T-chart using real and nonsense words.
Yes, they'll sort real words and nonsense words.
Okay, so for that, they will be reading the word.
Yes.
Which will give us the opportunity to walk around and formatively assess them. I wonder if we could try and pull some nonsense words that still have those focus sounds and then still use some of these real words we've already pulled. So let's go ahead and come up with some nonsense words that we could use.
What about jop? J-O-P,
Okay.
because that has the J and the short O.
Yep. Maybe one that has two sounds.
What about OG?
Og.
O-N-G.
So we can get our cards and we will have this set up for the students to read the words and then sort the words.
Yes, they'll read all the words and then they'll sort them and place them.
Okay. All right. So now let's get to the decodable. When they get to this step in the lesson, this is our chance to see, are they able to transition what they're learning to the text?
Well, I will introduce the decodable. I'll read the title to them.
Okay.
And then they may help me read the first page or two.
Okay.
And then I'll have them whisper read the rest of the decodable. And then the ones that finish, they'll read it again. And then once they're done reading that, then they'll partner read. So they'll sit with a buddy and they'll sit shoulder to shoulder and read together. So during the lesson, we'll get together and share notes and just see which student needs extra help and what skills, and which students need to move on to new skills.
Right. And we can discuss whenever you pull them back there for tier 2 based on what their weaknesses were, what activities you should do with them.
Okay.
Tier 2 instruction provides immediate, targeted support for individual students or a small group of students who are unsuccessful with Tier 1 instruction alone. Tier 2 is fluid, meaning it can change day to day depending on the grade level learning target. Informative assessment of instruction. It includes systematic and explicit instruction and interaction between the teacher and the students. It must be frequently monitored in order to inform our instruction and adjust accordingly. It should be prescriptive based on that formative assessment data. Tier 2 addresses the question, what does the student specifically need, and how can I, as a teacher, provide it in a different way to ensure mastery? Our formative assessment data is our GPS, our roadmap to where to navigate our instruction. Tier 2 instruction relies on the analysis of grade level data to identify students at risk and can also determine the health of the Tier 1 differentiated core instruction.
What do you think we should do with them whenever we pull them back for their Tier 2 instruction?
We'll use the Elkonin boxes and we'll say the word like we did on the rug.
Okay.
And then they'll touch the sounds.
Okay.
And then they'll move the counters on the Elkonin boxes, and then they will write the words on the table.
Okay.
Once we've written a few words, then they will read all of the words. We'll use another activity where they will read words and decide which word does not belong.
Okay.
And then they will read another decodable. It's a different decodable, but it has the same skills. So it will focus on consonant J and short O.
Okay. Let's go ahead and think about some literacy center activities they might could use, or something for extended practice.
We could use the sand trays, and they'll use one finger to write the words in the sand. It's multisensory because they can feel it. They'll connect the phoneme to the grapheme.
Perfect.
We can also use the picture cards on the board. It'll have a picture of a word, and then they'll have to think of how to spell the word, and they'll use the magnetic letters to make the word on the board.
And maybe we could throw in a few review sounds
Yes,
that they've already worked
definitely.
in. Okay. I like that idea.
Planning with your local reading specialist gives you the opportunity to brainstorm ideas to meet the needs of your students.
Taking the time to work with a teacher and plan an explicit phonics lesson ensures that we're meeting all the steps and each one of the students' individual needs. This ensures that our students are ready to read and write.